toes on my feet, stomping out the negativity. Everybody not a friend of me, spread the love, still I move deliberately. Bully face on, but the smile be heavenly. Brooklyn girls, so they love the energy, love sincerity. So I take the liberty to take them on a journey lyrically through hallways and alleys.
Okay. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Next Chapter. Welcome. I am one of your hosts, Miss Kitty Rose, aka Minister Cat, and my co-host is
Melissa D.
Hey,
I'm
Melissa.
so happy to see you today, Miss Kitty. You have the most beautiful smile. I just had to tell you that.
Thank you, my love. You know, there was a sister I used to rock with, and there was a saying that she had when she felt the spirit move her when receiving a compliment. And I feel like the spirit is moving me to say that my smile is a reflection of how you make me feel. So thank you, my love.
Thank you. Thank you.
How are you? It's been a week since I've seen you.
It has been a week, but I'm feeling a little down because of the topic that we're discussing today.
Well, yeah, you and I both. This week, as we were brainstorming what to talk about this week, a Showtime special also came out about, we need to talk about Bill Cosby. So today's topic, everyone, is addressing the Bill Cosby Showtime show, but really asking the question based off of the information that Melissa and I both viewed, who is the real problem or what is the real problem? So one thing I want to start by saying is that, I don't know how it works, obviously, in the Caucasian world, but in the Black community and the African-American community, we are very forgiving of our people. Like, we will give our people 50 billion chances to make sure, like, no. Because we always feel like if it's coming from white media, then it's tainted information. You know what I mean? This is not who we know or who we think we know. And I also now believe that the face of predators are changing now. So what we once thought was a predator, or the way that creepy, guy nobody talked to, that's not the person anymore. The predators are these charming, good looking people in power, positioning themselves over people. And I know for myself, I want to first start out by saying to everyone who's watched me, followed me, especially over the last year with this Bill Cosby, that if I have mentioned before, that I didn't really believe the allegations of the women. I thought that, I was watching movies in the 1970s and I'm looking at the way Bill Cosby is acting and I'm saying, you know what, everybody was doing drugs, everybody was popping pills, so that was just the element. I remember when I first got into the industry, everybody was doing blow, everybody was doing pills. So I just figured, I just chalked it up to the time. But girl, as we both see, me and you, we got fucking dates. We got receipts now, girl.
Yeah. And the one thing I think that's great about us doing this project together is learning about this stuff, because realizing, like how you say, like, we'll give our people like 50 chances. And I can see why, right? Because people of light skin have always been there to be like, if you're getting good at something, then, we're going to put you down. So I can understand why you say, like, we give our people, 50 chances, because, white America has been pushing back on people who are of color, who kind of gain status or, start to gain some momentum. And, things that fake news have been oppressive too. So it's really interesting when you say, yes, we do give them 50 chances. And it's interesting that they said this also in the documentary about, how people were just like, oh no, it might be just one or two. And then it was like, oh, it's just white women that this happened to. And then it was like, no, 1/3 of the women who come out were people of color. So it was like, he had no discrimination about who he was being a predator to. And
he did discriminate against grown women.
That is true. That is true.
because
Yes.
the majority of the women, even when he was an older gentleman, were all under the age of at least 25, but definitely 30 years old. There was no one at the time that was over 30 at the time that he preyed upon them. That was interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Which, for predators, a lot of time there is an age range that they are geared towards. And it seems like his did not change no matter what age he was, which is typical of people who have, these type of behaviors. But yeah, it really depressed me because I grew up as thinking that Bill Cosby was my black dad. My dad wasn't around and I had Bill Cosby. I think it was like at one time his show was in syndication every day of the week. So we ate dinner and watched Bill Cosby and his
Wow.
family,
Wow.
and so now I'm just like, oh my gosh, my black dad was a pedophile. It was just like, it kills me. And then to know like all these young women, were subjected to this and then the fear of coming out to say it. And I can understand why too.
The other part that really troubled me was the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Timeline really troubles me, Melissa, because this went back. What really got me to really say, okay, he did this, was his own fucking admission.
Yeah,
And
he was talking about it since he started it.
it was no longer about what people were saying about him. It was his own admission to what he was doing. And because I, not to say wasn't privy, but I didn't go back that far. I, like you, I went, well, not like you, because were referencing that being your black dad because of the Cosby Show. But, we grew up in the black community, and I don't know how much this is in the white community, but
I
in the
didn't even know about I Spy. I had no idea about it.
not before, but after I Spy, for me growing up, I didn't grow up on I Spy per se, but I did grow up on Fat Albert. I
Yeah.
did grow up on, and I raised my children on Little Bill. You know what I'm saying? And then I did watch the Cosby Show. But what was interesting is that when we did the timeline, it went back to, it went as far back to, wait, let me make sure that I look at my notes. 1976, girl. In one of his shows, he's talking about the Spanish fly and
Yeah.
giving someone, and what happens, like joking about giving someone the Spanish fly, right? But what happened was, they said that the reason why he was accepted during that time in 76. I feel like I have something before that though. In 71, oh, in 1971, he's talking about downers on the
Yeah.
album. In the album that he puts out in 1971, he's talking about the effects of downers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, wait, hold on. Here it is, 1964. 1964, he's talking about it. But what happens is, they said in the show, what did they call him in the show? And I tried to put the word in a way that I could pronounce it, but it still didn't come out right. But it was intermissional, where get money first and then help your people. So
Mm-hmm.
he was a safe compromising choice for the powers that be, because he was raceless, because he came out at a time during like the Dick Gregory's, who was very political, and then eventually the Harry Belafontes and the Sidney Poitiers, they became political, but he never really crossed that line. They said that they don't even know if he was at the march, what I'm saying, on Washington, like that wasn't his spiel. However, when they talked about get money first and then help, they also talked about that he was the first person, male black actor, to make sure that the stunt people were all people of color and not white folks in blackface, doing the stunts of black people.
I couldn't even believe they actually did that. That just like blew my mind. Like painting white people black to be stunt actors. And like even the woman that was in the show talking about like, yeah, they painted that white man, the color of my skin because they couldn't find a stunt actor. Like what? Like that, I mean, but that's what makes it really hard too, because it's like he did do some good things for the community. And yet he was drugging women behind the scenes. And it's just very polarizing. Like how can somebody be good and bad at the same time? And I think that's what we have struggled with as human beings. You know, if they're all bad, it's easy to hate them. And if they're all good, we can applaud them. But that's not human nature.
So one of the problems I feel is like, he made his living being the nice guy. So like you said, Harry was drugging women, but he made his living off of being the clean guy, the nice guy. You know what I mean? And then that goes back to predator behavior. That when I looked up predator behavior or defined predator behavior, is someone who allows you to believe, who has a trusting spirit. You know what I'm saying? Or has trusting vibe and gathers you in that way, like that dad kind of feeling. So my question to you, or what I found scary and really why I wanted to have this conversation, is because if people knew, like back in 1968, but wasn't really listening, I don't believe that, because in 1991, not the 70s, not the 80s, in 1991, he's on fucking Larry King describing how to fucking put a drug. And Larry King is saying the words with him. It wasn't like Larry King was stunned and shocked and was like, what do you mean? You know what I'm saying? He was like with him with the conversation. So my question to you, and why I'm having, or why we're having this conversation, is who fucking is the real problem? You know what I'm saying? Because if the powers that be was aware of this, I was one of those people that believed in the conspiracy theory that, the powers that be was only attacking Bill because he recently wanted to make the purchase of NBC. And because he wanted to make that purchase, now his dirty skeletons come out. But even if that wasn't true, what is true is that they will fucking hold your shit. Hold your shit until it no longer serves them purpose. And then bring your shit out and explode it. Because you could not tell me, if you still have reports in the 90s, in 1991, while he's on, excuse me, not 1990, in 84, when he's filming now the Cosby Show, he still is raping women on the fucking Cosby Show.
Yep.
Then why did they wait until X amount of years later to reveal finally his shit? And then because we all didn't want to believe it, because of, look at another statistic is in 19, he did start to get political, but not really. He started to get educational. In 1968, he changed the education and he became somewhat militant. And then in 1971, he directed all of his packaging towards education, talking about the effects of fucking drugs.
Oh, I know, right? Like, talk about who's the professional to have do this, because he knows them really well.
You know what I'm saying? So here we have a timeline of him, really addressing the right side of humanity, but in the closet or behind the scenes, and not really behind the scenes, doing this to women under 30, mostly under 25 years old. So,
and there were people shepherding, like being a shepherd towards these women to bring them to his dressing room too. And like, oh, we don't know what's going on. They just they're reading for him for the show. They knew what was going on. They did. But what would happen if they were to call him out back in the 80s, right? The whole show would go to shit. I mean, that show was keeping that broadcasting alive, right?
That's what they said. It brought NBC back alive, actually.
Yeah. So let's look another way, because that will keep a lot of people in business, if we just let Bill do what he's doing.
Hold on. Was it Mount Laura on NBC?
Yeah. They even had like Matt talking to one of the victims at one point, right? Yeah.
So on that note, let's take a commercial break. and say thank you to our underwriters. All right. See you soon. We'll be right back.
Almost Sade Skincare takes pride in using natural, nurturing skincare products to make New Yorkers glow and love their skin. For the past 30 years, we have tailor-made skincare regimens for people and their unique skin type. Now everyone can enjoy this service for free. All skin types, all ages. Your skin, your match. Simply go to SadeSkincare.com and sign up now for your free consultation.
So now the question is, what do we do? Okay.
Yeah.
Now
What
we
do we
know.
do?
What do we do? Do we freaking cancel everything Bill Cosby has done? Because I'm gonna tell you, watching the Cosby Show now, because I'm still gonna laugh. Stuff is still
Mhm.
funny. Stuff is still touching. So I laugh, and then right after the laughter, I'm crying that I'm laughing at this fucking man and what
Mhm.
he put out there and what he did. I
Yeah.
was really upset with what he did to Camille. But now it's no longer about what he did to Camille, because
Yeah.
did Camille play a part by staying with him? Because you're gonna
Yeah,
say
how
she
did
didn't
she
know?
not know? Like, how did she not know? I mean, there was 60 something women that came out. There must have been so many more that didn't. How did she not get an inkling? But again,
But maybe she
sometimes,
did, which is why she didn't come around.
maybe. Yeah, it's easier. What they say, what the eyes don't see, the heart doesn't feel.
So
Yeah.
so now I know for me, when it came down, because this is not a black and white issue. You know what I'm
Mm-mm.
saying? We have the Jimmy Lewis, the rock and roll guy. You know what I'm saying? Uh
James?
no, the white guy, the Jimmy that always used to date white young girls. Oh my God, rock and roll. I can't think of his name. Jerry Lee Lewis, or some shit like that. Then we have what? The
Woody
little
Allen, who
Woody
dates
Allen.
the,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
stepdaughter.
this is not a black, an issue, which is also part of the problem. Because I think when we think of predators, I don't know about you, but I know for the black community, we really only think about white folks
Well,
being
yeah,
predators.
because that's mostly the murderers and the predators that we see on TV too.
You know what I'm saying? So now that we know that the face has changed, like the R. Kellys of the world, you know what I'm saying? I no longer listen to anything R. Kelly. As soon
Hold
as
up
it
a
comes on,
second. Now, here's the thing. R. Kelly, I was able to get that documentary really easy. Get with the Bill Cosby
you
one.
see,
I had to download an app and then pay a subscription just to get this information. Otherwise, I would have known everything that was happening. But I feel like R. Kelly did get a lot more publicity, and I'm wondering why. Why was that? Is it more the powers to be?
I think that's an excellent point. Because was it easier because R. Kelly made sexual music to let
Yes,
him
because
fall
he was
than to
always
let Bill
tarnished.
Cosby? Because you still need your token black. Because R. Kelly was accepted not just for the R&B he did. Remember, I Believe I Can Fly.
Hmm. Yeah,
That
I mean that was in every church
crossed
that I
him
went
over
to. Like,
to the white folks. That crossed him over. Celine Dion, you know what I'm saying? They was like, oh, R. Kelly, our new black. So there's always the one black that they allow in everything. So maybe, but the point that I was making is that I no longer listen to R. Kelly. I don't
yeah.
subscribe to it. I don't do the hustle, the slide, the electric slide. I don't do the Chicago step. I do nothing. Even if it's a duet, I do not listen to R. Kelly. Do we now do the same with Bill Cosby and everything
Hmm.
that he's produced, from the fact? Because I'm not think about that. The amount of money now, the Fat Alberts, the Little Bills, the Cosby Show, A Different World. Do we now cancel out everything that he was attached to make a
Didn't he
different?
also buy? Didn't he also buy the Little Rascals because he said it was racist?
I'm not sure. Was that in the
I thought
documentary?
no, but I thought I had heard that at one time that he wanted to buy it so that it wouldn't be publicized anymore because it was a very racist show.
So again, with all the good and the millions of money that he's invested in education, do we now strip him of his doctrine? Do we now strip him? Because to me, when do we set the example? When do we let these fucking predators? Because when I talked about last year, when I talked about my Bama being a predator, I talked about him being a predator in the sense of men in power, in positions of power, that prey on the hopes and goals of their prey. So as women, we pray for opportunity. We pray for exposure. We want love. We want companionship. We want opportunity. These young actresses, you know what I'm saying? He didn't pray on a fucking nurse. He didn't pray, you know what I'm saying, on a fucking librarian. He prayed on women that was in the industry that he was in. So when you have these men, and I'm sure there are women, but when you have these men or people who are in position of power preying on others under them, when do we say enough is enough? Who sets the example? Because freaking who's the big wig that's in prison now? Weinstein. He's
Oh
one
yeah.
guy.
Mm-hmm.
Was that your quota to justify the Me Too? Is that y'all, was that y'all sacrificial lamb? One fucking man in an industry that has more than one gatekeeper?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
White lady?
It goes back to like, are we feeling safe enough to be able to talk out about these things too? Right? Because I think a lot of us do stay quiet because we feel like if we blow the whistle, then we're going to ruin a lot of people's lives, make a lot of people uncomfortable. And I think that we're also raised as women to be like, don't make anybody uncomfortable. Oh, Uncle Harry wants a hug, give Uncle Harry a hug. We're just like taught that. And I think like that has just come a part of how we're raising people not to speak out because, the consequences and how you're going to upset other people. And so I think like we need to start raising our children of being like, it's okay to say something and we're going to believe you. And I think that's one of the things that we have to start being able to open up about.
Girl.
Hmm.
With you, Mo. So we start there. We start with having the conversation and believing our young people, because you're right. It's believing. How many times do our young people come to us and we say, are you sure? Maybe he didn't mean that. Oh, you just made that up in your head. Oh, maybe your skirt was too high. What did you wear? What kind of lipstick? Like, it's always the victim shaming. So when we take that out of the equation, okay, that's a valid point. Then we can now start there. We can start believing our people. And then second, how do we now make other people, other artists, other people in power accountable? How do we set the tone to say, hey, do your fucking job and just be my mentor. Do your fucking job and just be my management. Do your fucking job and just be my executive. Don't fucking cross the line and tell me that, well, this is an industry that they need to see some legs. So put your skirt up a little bit. Because remember the movie Bombshell? Did you see Bombshell?
No.
Bombshell was the story when the fucking Fox News, the head of Fox News, got in trouble because he crossed the line in women anchors. You know what I'm saying? Women anchors coming to him, professional, doing the goddamn job, years in their career. And then, it'll be like almost a stripper interview. Well, let me see how big your ass is. Well, put that, don't wear pantsuits. There's a show on Apple TV. The new like
Oh yeah,
of a talk show.
like Good Morning or something like
yeah,
that.
and in one of the scenes, it was said that they didn't want their co-hosts to wear pantsuits. I think there was a time when women wasn't allowed to wear pantsuits.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sure. But then when you think back, like, okay, so those people are saying like, oh, let me see your ass, let me see your legs. That's not the first time this person has been able to have that authority. I mean, if we go back in years, did it start off as a teenager? Did this kid get away with being like, oh, it's okay if I get away with touching her leg now? It's not something that just happens out of the blue. It's something that gradual they get away with. So we need to say like, Harry, it's not okay to say that. It's not okay to expect to get a hug because you want it. I think like we need to like set those boundaries and teach boundaries to possible victims and possible people who could be predators in the future.
You're right. It doesn't start there. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't start by the time that they're executive. And I didn't even think about that until you just said that. So as children, when someone does something that could possibly look at as being inappropriate, yeah, you're right. That's the time to say, because what happens as young girls, I've done this, is we'll laugh it off. We'll be
Yes.
so uncomfortable at 13 and 12 and 11, and we'll
Yeah, because we don't know any other way to deal with it. How are we supposed to say, like, oh, no, that's not cool? Like, nobody taught us how to deal with it. And even at, older, still doing that because how are we supposed to say, like, hold up, that was really awkward. That's not okay. Like, it's just these societal norms that we've been taught to live by.
So our lesson or our final thought or takeaway towards our young people, towards our parents, towards the village, the aunties, the friends, the elders, is one, nurturing our young people from the beginning to address certain things that are not funny, that are crossing the line, so that we start them young knowing that you can't do this. This is not okay. Because if we do give them the pass or enable them as a young person, then I guess we are setting them up to do the same type of behavior as an adult. So yeah, nipping it when they're young and believing our young people so that when they are in position at 19, 20, 21, they will still have a support system of knowing, but sidebar. Because I always think that predators go after, well, no, that's not true. Because it could be people from all types of backgrounds, and they'll still find a way. They'll still find a weakness, or still find something. I wonder what happens and what goes on in the mind of a predator.
I don't know, but like I talk to so many people, and like most of the people I have a creepy uncle, right? Like it's almost like we're brought up with like there is somebody creepy and we just accept them as being the creepy person.
Yeah.
You
And I guess
know,
we can no longer do that. We have to
no.
nip the bud and say, Uncle Harry's creepy and we're not fucking with him.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't until like
Are
I
we
was in my
doing that?
20s.
Are we doing that? Are we enabling predator behavior?
Yeah, I think that we do. We need to say, Uncle Harry, don't be touching my daughter's ass. Because you think it's okay, you're an uncle.
I think we have had a full conversation, and I actually think we came up with some tools that help people going forward. And we have to. What are your thoughts on cancel culture? Do you think we should cancel everything Bill Cosby now that we have this additional information? Because, like you said, it's still not open. You know what I'm saying? You got to download an app. You got to go to Showtime. You got to have Showtime. It's still not the easiest information. So if you got information that you only know, like Cosby Show, that's in syndication, yeah, you're not gonna believe these allegations, as I didn't as a Black woman who has actually been involved in Me Too situations. But
Mhm.
now getting and seeing this video, seeing this show, and seeing Bill Cosby come out of his mouth, not fucking editing, because the people behind producing this documentary were African American, were Black people who wanted to support Bill Cosby, were Black people who support the Black community and do not want stains and stigmas on us. I think we found a team that wanted to make sure that the truth came out so that we as a community can really make a stand and believe the women
Mhm.
that fucking said what they said. Because again, I was one of those women who doubted because they were white, because they happened long ago, because they were in the drug environment. How dare I use all of those reasons to not believe people? But now that I've heard it out of Bill Cosby's mouth,
Mhm.
again, my question is, do we now cancel everything Bill Cosby?
That's the question. And I think one of the quotes one of the interviewees said was Bill Cosby was a rapist who had a great show at one time.
But but he didn't have a great show. He had great shows. He did so much.
Yeah.
And I guess that was his way, like his guilt maybe, or his cover, not guilt, his cover, because there was
Okay.
no guilt. There was no
Hmm.
guilt.
Yeah. And in the end, was he really doing it out of the goodness of his heart?
Nope.
Yeah.
No. Wow. This was a tough one.
Yeah. Yeah. This one stuck with me for a few days.
This was a tough one. So on that note, everyone, we welcome your comments. We welcome you to share your thoughts because we know you have some. Melissa won't check the comments, but I will. Share your thoughts, because we're just two people, we're two professional opinions, but it's still just our professional opinions. So join in this conversation with us and share your thoughts. Should we now ban everything Bill Cosby? Should we set the precedent with him? Because he's not the only one. That's what's really important about this whole conversation. The face of the predator is no longer what we once thought. It's that lovable guy. It's that lovable woman who gets us, who embodies us, who gives us hope and makes us feel good. So we don't know what to look for. We just got to be careful all the way around. But we're interested to see if you have some thoughts or some things or some pointers that we could think about and our audience can think about so that we can begin to heal our community as a whole. Because that's really what this is about. It's about healing our community as a whole, not Black women, not white women, not Black people, not white people, but all of us, the human race. So continue to join with us in the next chapter of our lives as you discover the next chapter in your life. Subscribe to our channel. I really hate going through the process of telling you all what to do. Subscribe, like, and share. You all know it.
We all know how to do it.
Tells you to do it. So you really don't need Melissa and I putting a bunch of buttons and a bunch of whistles to tell you to subscribe. You know what it is. You know what to do. So in order for this message to get out, because again, y'all know if they kept this secretive from us from all of these years, this is not a conversation that the Matrix wants everyone to hear. So it is up to us as a community to share these conversations because there is action plans on how to move forward. These predators can be stopped. The devil's a liar, and I'm here to make sure that you are all aware that this shit can stop. And we, as a people, as a collective, need to put an end to this. We don't have to. We can boycott networks. We can do some shit to make our voice heard that this behavior is no longer acceptable.
Exactly.
On that note, you have watched another episode of The Next Chapter where we discuss shades of gray. Once again, I am one of your hosts, Miss Kitty Rose, aka Minister Cat, and my co-host
Melissa D.
Please follow us on both our YouTube channels and our Facebook group at The Next Chapter. Until next time, everyone, continue to be safe, continue to stay focused, and know that you are loved by us. We'll see you next week. Don't forget to subscribe.
Everything we do is about community empowerment, building, learning, growing, and becoming self-sufficient. Tech believes that financial freedom and education are the civil rights movement of our time.
Legendary ciphers get the MCs in the jobs. The city never sleeps. Slept from 1 to 5 when COVID hit the block and we had to stay inside. Tough love is all I know, so be gentle with myself. Learn to navigate winters with no coat. If you never been cold, never been broke. Hustle 24/7 just to stay afloat. So New York, like dollar pizza in the coat. Shit, that real life great.